next speaker is Dr. Jayantha Chandrasoma, who is State Secretary to the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources in Sri Lanka.
Good day, everybody. Thank you, organizers and NACA, for giving me the opportunity for make this presentation. And the topic I selected is monitoring and evaluation of culture-based fisheries in Sri Lanka's man-made reservoirs. So, background already you have discussed. I think several workers were discussing about the importance of CBF to Sri Lanka. We have a very large reservoir base for the development of CBF, and most important thing is the reservoirs. Even the present day, several reservoirs are under construction. This is going to increase the area of reservoirs in Sri Lanka. So depending on hydrological regimes, this can be divided into seasonal and perennial. These reservoirs built mainly for irrigation reservoirs, except for few built for hydroelectric power. Diverse in size, age, and hydrology, and catchment features, and also productivity. So historically, these reservoirs we consider as part of our heritage. Maybe some reservoirs more than 2,000 years old. There are a lot of historical evidence to show that inland fisheries is an economic activity even during first century. So prior to 1950s, fish yield in Sri Lankan reservoirs were reported to be very low, and development of inland fisheries commenced with the introduction of Oreochromis mozambicans to Sri Lanka inland waters. But by 1980, Oreochromis niloticus replaced the Oreochromis mozambicus. Now it's with the introduction of culture-based fisheries, even carp varieties have become dominant in fish catchers together with niloticus. So in 2020, fish catch from reservoirs contributing more than 90% to the Sri Lanka's total inland fisheries and aquaculture production, and which is around 89,523 tons. So government has given high priority for the development of CBF in reservoirs with the objectives of increasing availability of fish in rural area to provide food security, enhance livelihood and self-employment opportunities, increase income of fishers, and strengthening of rural economy. Primary purpose of CBF, as discussed earlier, is the efficient use of natural productivity in reservoirs and also increase fish yield above that is obtained under natural conditions. So CBF started in Sri Lanka in 1980s in seasonal reservoirs. This is the base for CBF in Sri Lanka, and enough has been discussed about seasonal reservoirs. I'm not going to talk much on seasonal reservoirs during my presentation. The CBFE perennial reservoirs is a recent development. There are three main categories of perennial reservoirs: minor, medium, and major, and commenced under ARDQIP project in 2004. Initially, this is meant for introduction of CBF into minor perennial reservoirs, but we were able to expand it to cover other two size categories of perennials, medium and major. Key steps in development of perennial reservoirs, I think Dr. Pushpatala discussed about this. Formation, strengthening of CBOs, regular stocking with fish species suitable for CBF, co-management process that is involving all stakeholders, particularly fisheries societies in decision making and activities, implementation of fisheries management measures, sustainable harvesting, collection of fish catch statistics and data. So monitoring and evaluation, availability of reliable data is a prerequisite. So here what is important is we have involved fisher organizations for collection and maintain data, because all the reservoirs are situated in very rural areas and we have a limited number of officers. They can't visit occasionally and collect all these reliable information. So because of that, we introduced this involving fisher organization for collection and maintain data. Initially, this started as a logbook system and then converted into computerized database. Mrs. Dr. Pushpalata discussed about this. Now it's a web-based information system. At present, around 50 perennial reservoirs are linked to this web-based information system. So what are the data we collect? Daily fish catch of each fisher, species-wise fish production, also number of fish of each species, stocking numbers, species-wise, price of fish fingerlings, opus larvae of shrimp, prawn, fish prices, species-wise, number of fishers, canoes involved in fishing daily, number of fish vendors involved, then the commission collected from each fisher for the Fisheries Society Fund. So with this data collected, we generated information, monthly annual fish production of each reservoir, contribution of each species, average size of fish of each species, percent return of each species, fish biomass gain, and monetary gain of stocking, catch per effort, livelihood opportunities provided, society income, and value of fish catch. So some of the indicators we use for our monitoring and evaluation are percentage increase in fish production, percentage increase in unit area production, percent contribution of stock species, percent monetary gain of stocking, percent increase in income of fishers, percent increase in livelihood opportunities, and percent increase in contribution of CBF to rural economy. So in addition to carry out impact evaluation, availability of relevant information and data facilitate decision making required for further improvement of CBF. We have noticed in reservoirs, the CBF group take decisions based on the after studying the analyzing the data for several years and make changes to stocking densities and species. So with this, they have improved the production from reservoirs further. So if I share some of our results, this is minor perennial reservoirs where pre-CBF, prior to introduction of CBF production, is compared with after introducing CBF, several years average. So here the figure given is percentage increase due to introduction of CBF. Very attractive. Similar situation can be seen for medium perennial reservoirs and increase in fish production through CBF, again, very attractive. We have studied some of the perennial reservoirs. One reservoir at present is the largest reservoir in Sri Lanka, Sinanayake Samudra, where we were able to obtain 600% growth increase in fish production with the introduction of CBF. Similarly, another reservoir, it's around 500% increase. And fish production per unit areas, we can see the similar increases percentage-wise, varying from 200% to around 900%. And the monetary gain is very important in assessing stocking outcome. So monetary gain given here are very attractive, and in stocking 100 fingerlings, what is the monetary gain they got? So if you consider freshwater prawn, you will find monetary gain when compared to other species is less, but it's around by spending 100 rupees, they have taken shrimps out value to around 400 and 1,430. So if you consider other indicators like percent return, it is very low, around 3%, some 1%. Also, if you take the contribution, that is also very low, maybe 1%. But we can't discard freshwater prawn because the monetary gain and it is economically viable to stock freshwater prawns. Similarly, enhancing income, these results indicate with the introduction of post-CBF, income has increased several folds, 700% to 5,621%. And livelihoods also increased. One of the objectives of CBF to increase livelihood opportunities for rural communities. So this indicates the increased opportunities provided through the introduction of post-CBF. And another important thing is strengthening rural economy. I think I got this from Pushpalata et al. 2017, and in that paper, it has shown some of the reservoirs originally established for irrigation purposes for paddy cultivation, and profit from CBS is similar or much higher than the what they get from paddy cultivation. So my conclusion is involvement of fisher communities is vital for collection of accurate data, and that is very important. Then involving the fisher communities in decision making based on information available will allow them to realize importance of monitoring, and they become a part of monitoring system. And each reservoir is unique in its character, and continuous long-term monitoring is very important, and results of impact evaluations are very useful for decision making at reservoir level, regional and national levels. Thank you very much.